Facebook and we're back on YouTube.
We're going to blaspheme some more?
You're going to blaspheme. Oh, yeah. Well, definitely, especially when we get to the story on the Pope calling blasphemy the worst sin. I mean, it's amazing. Words they don't like are worse than priestly pedophilia. Actions. It's amazing. It's just astounding. Yeah.
All murder, pedophilia, stealing somebody's wife.
Yeah, so we are.
That guy's all over the place. One day it's okay to be an atheist. It's okay to be gay, and then the next day blasphemy is the worst sin ever. Like,
the atheist is still going to hell, but yeah.
As long as they don't act on it, right? You know.
Yeah, that's a pretty well.
Spend your life in celibacy, and never enjoy a moment of things we cherish.
Yeah. So.
Well, no, being gay.
Well, right? just for the people out there
you're allowed to be.
Sorry, I think we got to go back, because just for the people who missed out on what we were talking about, I'm not sure exactly where the feed cut out. So Shane, if you can go over again what the people in Edmonton in the gay community are telling you. They're saying that they don't think that uniformed officers should be banned from the parade, because they're all pretty much on our side now and have been for decades. The chief of police of Edmonton is gay. There's many gay officers in the EPS service. They feel rather hypocritical that if they're going to ban the police, why don't they ban the churches? Yeah, that's right. And the Catholic, you were saying that even the Catholic Church participates in this.
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, we all know that what's his name from Street Church participates sort of in Calgary on the sidelines. Arthur Pawlowski.
Arthur Pawlowski, yeah.
Yeah, I bet you just love that guy. What a bigot.
All do. Yeah.
What a bigot. He's something else. But we've talked about him lots, and we probably should leave him in our dust. Also, at
least he's marginalized here. Most people don't pay attention to him.
Well, he should hold up a parade then. Find a parade to hold up.
Don't give people ideas.
He's afraid we'll show up again.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I said, this whole Black Lives Matter tactic. They do it because it works. So a tiny voice has a great deal of power, because the police certainly don't want to, arrest people and make, the optics of that are worse than not being told that you can't participate in Pride in uniform. And as you said also, that the people who are members of the LGBT community and are, and also in the EPS, the Edmonton Police Service, are not happy about it either. And we just lost Twyla. I'll get her back in. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. I hate the tactic. It's the heckler's veto, or on steroids. It's much, it's much worse than that. So, anyway, not much to. I can't add. Anybody want to add anything here?
Yeah.
Well, if they are so inclusive, why exclude them? And why does Black Lives Matter get to dictate what happens at a Pride parade? And as Shane said earlier, they want to maybe put it back to more protesting
more grassroots
the restriction
kind of thing.
Yeah, like it's become so long and so commercialized now. It's basically just another a stampede parade or a Klondike parade.
In drag.
Yeah, Vancouver's Pride Parade is now 4 hours and a bit, and it's because every bank, trade union, shop in town has a float, and it has nothing to do with gay people or pride or anything. It's just about selling spaces and
That's true, but once commercialization reaches, then it's normalized essentially, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's it. It's a double-edged sword, right? You have, on the one hand, it's commercialized and it's worse than Christmas, and on the other, it means that nobody cares anymore. You know, somewhat. You know, not nobody, but most people don't care anymore.
It seems to be missing the whole point.
Well, not only do they not care about the issue specifically, but they like to go down there and take their families and enjoy the beer gardens and, you know, music and stuff like that. It's a family event that's it's fun. It's fun, you know.
Yeah, I've taken
Has there been, I'm just wondering if Shane's noticed any difference with the change of government, if there's been some more inclusiveness with the NDP, or if there's been any difference, or?
Not really. Well, Alison Redford was in the Pride Parade when she was the premier. But she was the first.
Yeah.
But between her and Notley, no, not much of a difference, really.
Mostly in the gay-straight alliances in schools, which is another fight that's coming up in the courts, and where they don't know yet, like Christian schools, whether they have to abide by the law prohibiting, not informing parents of members of these gay-straight alliances. And it'd be a horrible thing if kids who have not come out to their parents get outed by the school.
Yeah, because the UCP want to classify them as sex clubs.
Yeah, how perverted is the UCP? The UCP is disgusting and perverted, even saying that.
Yeah.
These are kids in school. They're going to be gay whether or not they're going to call them sex clubs or not. Like, what a bunch of...
Wow, that is just ridiculous. Unreal.
UCP is disgusting.
Yeah, I can't see the courts siding with, Christian schools or the UCP, the United... we should just call it the United Christian Party. It's not the United Conservative Party. It really is.
They're a bunch of United Perverted Christian Party.
Tell us what you really think there, Twyla.
Yeah, they're the kind of people that, would send your kid home from school in elementary because their shorts were just slightly lower or higher than the whatever it is where your fingers touch your thighs or whatever. And
no yoga pants.
They're so bloody weirdos. They're the ones, they're looking at kids going, oh.
Yeah.
I can't see a court siding with the Christian schools or the UCP party because there's obvious harm in that outing kids to their parents. I mean, there are a lot of parents in this province. This is a very conservative province, and I mean that in the small c. And we're talking Christian conservative, not just Joe Clark kind of conservatism, which is reasonable conservatism. This is very unreasonable conservatism, and so many of these people would disown their children if they found out they were gay. I have no doubt. It's literally dangerous for them. So I don't see any court being okay with the school being required to inform parents.
Right.
Isn't this just a tactic to kind of prevent the schools from even having them then? Because what kid's going to sign up?
Well, they won't have the clubs if that's the policy in place, because nobody will be willing to do it.
Yeah, I think that's their agenda.
Is this kind of demographically related too? Because I remember when Kara was in, I think, junior high or high school, I said, hey, why don't you start up an alliance, right? A GSA. And she said, no, because she has a bunch of friends and it's a total non-issue, right?
Yeah.
So starting up a club would have, you almost would have been made fun of because it was already no big deal,
acceptable.
Right?
That's
good.
Yeah. Urban area though. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
The rest of Alberta, on the other hand.
Sorry, Shane, what were you saying there?
In the larger cities, they're probably not needed to the point where, it is almost laughable to have it because it's so accepted. But these kids that are living in Fort Mac or Red Deer.
Exactly, yeah.
And Red Deer's not a small center for Alberta.
Yeah, and I can even
we're very hick though.
I can even see certain communities within Calgary not being on board, right? You know, I live in a pretty,
especially if it's one of these Christian charter schools, right?
Oh, I was just thinking of even the public school system.
Yeah.
You know, I live in a trendy, you know, area close to downtown, and there's lots of, I don't know, new ageies and open-minded people, so to speak, right? So, but
Whereas
you know, there are communities that
hippies.
are, you know, pretty much,
it's all hippies down there.
Where there's some communities where this is supposed to actually happen to prevent bullying and give them a sense of community and belonging. So
and a place to speak their mind, you know, and to get support. It's all, a lot of it is support, right?
Yeah.
So, have we talked that one out?
Sure.
Sure. Good. Okay.
Messages on either of the platforms. So,
Let's go on to a related story. Let's go on. This is the Trinity Western. They lost this. It's a Christian law school. They lost their fight to against the law societies that were refusing to recognize any law degree from it's basically the bar associations where we're not recognizing these universities, and because they had what they called a community covenant, which required students to not engage in extramarital sex, and it would have to be man and woman, and it was so. This is very. I mean, first of all, how
not
does
just
it? How
students,
does it?
but teachers and
and professors,
right?
And staff.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I mean, you're basically imposing rules that have nothing to do with academics on students and staff. That's kind of like, you know, like it's basically covering all aspects of their lives where they're there, when they're there. But anyway, it's been a long road. In British Columbia, they flip-flopped. Originally, the government said, okay, we'll recognize it, and then they said, no, we won't recognize it because of the human rights legislation violations. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, in a 7-2 decision, sided against Trinity Western University. I want to play something about this, and here's a soundbite from a lawyer, Andre Schutten, who was representing one of the interveners in the case. Oops.
I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, you're not hearing it. Oh, great. Let me try this again. Let me put it out. Oh, I see. It's all my settings have been changed on this thing. Can you hear this? Let me just wait for a second. This thing it's a sound thing has changed.
Did Windows by chance upgrade on you?
Yeah, it always does.
Yeah.
Sets everything back to the default, I bet.
Can you hear this? Whoops. Did you hear that?
No.
No.
Crud. Okay.
No.
Let's try this setting. Because I want you guys to comment on this for sure. It takes a while to change the settings on this soundboard. Come on. Didn't hear that? No.
I heard some groany noise.
No, that's my stomach. Sorry.
That's Randy.
Yeah, it actually is my stomach. Yeah. Let's try. Oh, this one. Let's try that. Let's see if this works. A second here. Come on, change. Did you hear that? No?
Nope, sorry.
Why is this doing this to me? Oh, it's all the settings have been changed, so it's been a real pain. Okay.
Blame the cats.
Yeah, I probably ran across the keyboard. This one last try, and then I'll just give you the gist. What the gist of it is that this court decision is essentially saying that religion is private and can be in the churches, but not in professional life. And I'm just like, no, that's not what they said at all. Anybody? Can you hear the ding, ding, ding?
No.
Holy crap. Okay, anyway, that was the gist of the thing. I'll put it in on the iTunes audio.
Links. Yeah.
And it was quite ridiculous. It's very draconian to impose such a rigid and, well, frankly, oppressive covenant. What do they call it? A covenant. Just to attend that law school, especially when it is the law school doing that, because they have all the power. Students don't have any of that. They're basically at the mercy of this university. So I mean,
it's kind of ironic that they're a law school and kind of breaking the law.
Yeah, it's kind of, they're very discriminatory. Of course, you cannot be. Well, I suppose you could be LGBT as long as you didn't do anything LGBT.
Well, you were celibate.
And or even if you're straight and and there's no
single and
unmarried,
yeah.
So
you've been with your fiance and living together for 10 years, but you're not yet married.
And they find out, right? And you get kicked out. Yeah.
I think Alberta and Saskatchewan were the only provinces that actually did agree to give them accreditation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go
surprise.
Yeah.
Those are the two most conservative provinces in Canada, probably.
Yeah.
Anybody else got to say something on that one?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's something that you would hear from like 100 years ago. Impositions on private sex lives.
Nobody ever accused religions of being forward-thinking.
Yeah.
And I really question how good of a law school it is if they can't. You guys suck. Why accredit these guys? Stop it.
Yeah. So the law societies, the bar associations wanted to, say, hey, we don't agree with this kind of flouting human rights legislation, and they just said no, you're not going to get accredited. And the Supreme Court in a 7-2 decision, there was the minority decisions. The two dissenting judges thought that the law society's powers should be limited, but it reduces the bar associations to rubber stamps. I mean, it's so it's going to be a far-reaching decision, but it's not going to be going into for instance, individual doctors that won't provide abortion services or whatever. But it might, if you think about it, carry over into Catholic hospitals. You know, they impose certain. Well, they first of all, some Catholic doctors will not prescribe birth control. Catholic hospitals will not provide abortion services, and no Catholic healthcare institution is going to provide it will have anything to do with assistance in dying. So maybe, hopefully, this will be broadened a little bit. I do not believe there's such a thing as a Catholic hospital. It's a bunch of Catholics running it.
Well, I didn't read the actual decision itself, but I thought it only pertained to like the private lives of individuals that.
Well, they looked at the harm that it may cause. I mean, if you, for instance, are somebody who's a member of the LGBT community, and what's the potential harm for these people if they're found to be in violation of this covenant?
Right.
And that's kind of what the majority opinion was about.
Right.
So it was a big thing about the man and woman, because it's specifically in heterosexual sexual relations.
Well, and they were also talking about how if you are not married and how you're not hetero, how you're not going to attend a school. Right. So the Law Society of Ontario, they said access to justice is facilitated where clients seeking legal services are able to access a legal profession that is reflective of a diverse population, responsive to diverse needs.
Right.
So,
yeah, if you listen to the clip I tried to play, basically the lawyer was saying that we can't practice being a Christian in our, as a practicing lawyer, and I'm like, you're darn right.
Right.
You don't get to be judgmental about your clients.
Well, if you don't want a gay marriage, don't get one.
Yeah.
If you don't want gay sex, don't have it. Like, you can still be a damn Christian. I don't understand
Mind
this.
your fucking business. No.
Yeah.
Well, be professional. That's it's the definition of being professional. You don't care about the life of your clients, like what they do in their private lives. It's only
it's professional, but it's also minding your own fucking business. Right?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's exactly part of being professional.
Yeah. You wouldn't go to your neighbors and pull that shit or something like that, or maybe you would, and you're going to face consequences, aren't you? Yeah. Just basic.
Do your job, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let others take the education. I mean, if these people are accredited and getting funding, that means another institute can't take that business away. So. Yeah.
I think I might want to talk about the Quebec thing. This is interesting. This is a Scientology story. Quebec's labor watchdog investigating the Church of Scientology after a Radio-Canada report on, this is funny, they call it low salaries. I think less than $2 an hour is a low salary.
Yeah, don't they pay them like pennies an hour to like clean their facilities and things like that?
Yeah, it's okay. This one Church of Scientology staffer in Quebec City earned $70 for nearly 39 hours of work, and this is on a pay stub. But the Church of Scientology says they don't have any staff. They're religious volunteers. Or what was the term they used? Religious workers. And they there was a labor lawyer who was asked about that, and he was like, yeah, there's no such thing. If you've got a pay stub, you're an employee.
Good.
That's it. Canada Revenue Agency says you're an employee. and you cannot earn less than, like less than $2, when minimum wage is over $11 an hour. So there's going to be a big investigation, and we'll see what happens. They don't even need a complaint. The government body which oversees labor relations and that kind of thing, in terms of pay equity, is just going to go in there and ransack them. It's going to be awesome. Great way to go, Radio Canada, as they found this. It's crazy. It's slave labor.
Yeah.
I guess that's it for that one.
And they believe they can get away with that because they call it religious.
Well, it's freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is under attack. My freedom of religion or my freedom to impose my religion on others is being infringed. Oy.
I can't enslave others in the name of my religion.
Yeah. It's in the Bible, hey? Wow. Slavery is fine.
Oh yeah, what the fuck? They have slaves.
Yeah. Let's see. And I'm going to move. Whoops. That wasn't supposed to play. They were showing that was the clip between the discussion between Jordan Peterson and Brian Mattei. And what do you think, Shane, of the Jordan Peterson's not using or refusal to use these made up pronouns? Is that violence? Have we lost Shane?
Because you know the context of I got booted automatically at one point too, so
he seems to be frozen. I don't think he's online.
Well, no, his pictures. That's just his picture. Can you hear us, Shane?
Yeah, no, he was he was on camera feed before.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, we lost Shane.
Oh. So I think he froze and yeah.
Let me hang up and then bring him back in. Are you there, Shane? No. We've lost him. Let's try this again. Let's bring him back.
And I missed the conversation about Scientology. What went on there?
Oh,
apparently they're cheap.
Yeah, no kidding. Holy, yeah.
Paying somebody less than $2 an hour.
I missed our discussion about it, but I didn't miss
I've
the
lost
article.
Him completely.
Wow.
Where is he?
Apparently, if you're a Scientologist, you can get enslaved.
Well, yeah. I mean, we knew this before
from
other past, people who have left the church, and that's, well, I shouldn't say past, but people who have left the church, whatever, cult, I don't know. They're all the same to me.
Yeah. Well, it is
exploitation of labor and packing them into not the best conditions in terms of their living facilities and stuff like that, and bathroom facilities and access to food and this kind of thing,
if you're a Scientologist, you have to pay a lot for their materials and stuff. So what do they do with all that money?
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the children that kind of grow up into it as well, too, right? Yeah. And they don't know any different, and they're being totally exploited.
Too.
Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they get so much money as part of it. They exploit the people.
Mm-hmm.
Top to bottom, they fleece them for everything they own, and they have an immense amount of money. Scientology has an immense amount of money.
Sorry.
No,
if you're indoctrinated, they do things like put you up to that, whatever the thing is that they've got to.
The E-meter?
Attain those. Well, there's levels too. You have to attain levels. You have to pay for materials and. Yeah,
but they also say, they'll say questions like, what would you do if you were a pedophiliac or something like that, right? And people would, just questions like that, leading in, obviously as part of a supposedly broader, I don't know, psychological evaluation or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so people will say things, and then they've got that on tape, And it could be so easily misconstrued out of context that this now becomes a threat, so you don't dare leave the church. And so, like, the tactics they use are just so sinister.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, it's essentially, basically what the Catholic Church has done for hundreds of years, right? That's what confession is all about.
But even more sinister. Yeah, but at least confession doesn't get recorded, I suppose.
No, it doesn't need to be, because the church knows.
Yeah, I guess.
But but they, like,
creepy.
Apparently they have a lot.
I never had to deal with that growing up. Like being part of a church community where, people would throw you under the bus and they knew every detail of your life and your family's life and shit like that. It just occurred to me how fortunate I am, because I'm sure that, the churchgoers had their own internal issues within the organization of the church, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look at Nathan Phelps.
Yeah, I'm just thinking even moderates, like, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just put the phone number up. People, you can call us at 1-587-288-1067.
Oh my God, Shane, where's Shane?
I don't know where Shane is. Shane, we kind of lost him. I will continue to try and add him to the call. I don't know where he's gotten to. But
Vincent should call in, because he said, how about talking about the guy that lost out of a huge opportunity of a lifetime? Oh yeah, I know this one. Due to his ex-girlfriend pretending to be him and telling the studio that he wasn't interested, he lost out on a huge opportunity. I can't remember the exact, how to even search it, but that did cross my radar too.
Well, and it's fraud.
Yeah. Vincent, we'd really appreciate it if you call in. I know last week you said you didn't think you had much to talk about, but I beg to differ. Give us a call.
No, we still can't get Shane back in. Okay.
Oh, okay, crap.
Anyway, let's go to Lindsay Shepherd, who I guess this would be the let's just play that. Let's go with this. Right, come on. Gotta play it. There we go. The regressive left files. Yes, Lindsay Shepherd, who is now. We got a caller calling in. It's just we'll delay. Hello.
Shepherd.
Who we got? Who we got here? Oh, you got to turn down your feed there. We're getting feedback. Who we got? It's Vincent. Okay. Sure. Other people, you can hear this, right? You can't hear this. Oh, jeez.
No, we can't hear Vincent. Sorry, I had my mic on mute, and I was trying to tell you that.
Whoops. I'm just like, can I just missing something?
Oh, man. Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out a way to share the load of the technology if it's possible.
You can't.
So that
There's
it's not
just no way.
falling on you.
There's just no way to do it.
That's shitty.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you did. I can hear you. I'm just trying to get the. Oh, damn it. Yeah, this is all screwed up. I don't know what happened.
I guess I blame the cats.
Yeah, or Windows upgrade. Both of those will work.
Either or.
How about this? Let's try that. Can you hear me?
Aha!
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we can hear
okay. Can anybody else hear me? That's the problem. Let me see. Okay, let me just try this. Voice meter.
I can't hear now.
Yeah, it went away. That was weird.
Yeah, because I didn't even catch what he said. It was coming a little bit.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Well, you guys can hear me now.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay,
and we did hear Vincent.
Is Vincent still there?
I don't know. You have control of the phone line. I know he's still on our Facebook page watching.
Yeah, I'm having some serious audio issues again. This is not good. Yeah, but nobody else can hear you, I think.
No, I can't.
No.
Yeah, I'm afraid I think we're gonna have to. Yeah.
Yeah, he says he's on the phone right now, so have to meet Facebook.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to cut this short. Yeah, because nobody can. It's not linked for some reason, so we're having issues. I'm gonna I want to turn off all Windows updates.
Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind sending us a link, if you want us to talk about that, please send us a link and we'll discuss it. And I will report back on what you have to say if you put it in the chat window.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll leave it till the end of the show and we'll treat that topic. Because I really can't remember the names or anything to actually search it myself. Okay. So
thanks for calling.
Yes.
Sorry about that. My apologies.
Next time.
All right. Yeah, it's just. I think a Windows update has completely corrupted everything here.
I suspect that's the case because it usually messes with some of my stuff too.
It shouldn't be messing with my stuff.
Don't stress, just carry on.
It really pisses me off. I'll have to fix it after. Okay, anyway, I'm going to turn off this.
If you need help testing or anything.
No, I'll figure it out. Yeah. I'm going to try and bring in Shane again. Come on, Shane. Where are you? Anyway, let's get back to the Lindsay Shepherd thing. She's suing Wilfrid Laurier University, claiming that attacks have rendered her unemployable in academia. I mean, she's getting a lot of flack from her professors. Now, you remember Lindsay Shepherd was intimidated, literally intimidated. I mean, it was the most egregiously anti-human relations behavior on the part of the university.
Well, it was bullying. It was
totally bullying. Yeah. And the university apologized for the wrong reasons. They didn't understand why they should be apologizing. I mean, they apologized because, well, you didn't violate this diversity code, and it was a terrible. Yeah, it was just something. If you listen to it, it was such a bullying and threatening conversation. Well, not conversation. It was problematic.
Confrontation, interrogation.
Yeah, it was an
brought to
it was a star
tears.
chamber.
You know.
Yeah. So she showed that video with Jordan Peterson discussing with a guy named Brian Mattei, who is a gender diversity person in university somewhere. I think University of Toronto. And he was saying that Jordan Peterson was committing violence because he wasn't going to use the gendered I don't even know what gender there's so many of them, but Jordan Peterson wasn't going to use these made up words, and that's doing violence. I mean, seriously, that was the guy's argument. Anyway, so she is claiming harassment, intentional infliction of nervous shock, negligence, and constructive dismissal. And she says that her lawyer actually says that the attacks on her have rendered her unemployable in academia. She did have an offer from GAD-SAD, which I think she should take.
Oh, yeah, that would be an awesome opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would.
And if I might interrupt again, we have a friend named Karar El Asfour who just joined us. And I would, if it's possible, love to bring him in maybe a little bit later on Skype, maybe if he's willing and able. Because he's had some issues on Facebook, and he's a very interesting man, So hopefully, if he's able to do so, he'll join us a little bit later. Or whenever.
All right. Okay, the statement of claim, which seeks 3.6 million Canadian, so not quite as much as in an American court. It names the three people who were her inquisitors, a guy named Rambucana, Pimlott was the other professor, and then there was Joel, who was the diversity officer for Laurier University. And it also names the university because they were complicit. And we'll see how that goes. I will try one more time to get Shane back in. I'm trying, Shane. Anyway. Anything on that?
I've been distracted because I'm in the chat window, but I'm, if Vincent wants to join us on Skype too, I want to invite him to do that.
Well, we got a long ways to go. We're nowhere near done.
Yeah, we do.
So I just don't see it.
And now we're having topics suggested. Hang on, I'm gonna put this in the chat link to us so that we can discuss what Vincent has suggested here. But carry on, and I'm sorry for having my mind in multiple places.
All right. Okay. We're gonna go. Okay, we got to go to Catholic Watch now because this is where the meat of the show is, I think. And sounds like we got. Do we have Shane? Oh, that's from Vincent. So we'll try and get.
I'm just gonna go turn my light on here.
Okay.
And while you're running that, I'll try and add Shane again too, because I have the power. But it seems that he's, I don't know, busy or offline or something like that.
All right. Okay. You cut right through that.
Pardon?
You cut right through that.
I'll shut up.
Yeah. So we're in Catholic Watch, and we have Australian bishop. Oh, wait a minute. So Australia has passed a law which requires priests who learn of child abuse in the confessional to report said abuse to police. And this Australian bishop, what is his name?
It's
Archbishop Christopher Prowse of Canberra and Goulburn. Or is it Galburn? I don't know how to pronounce that one. And he was saying that priests are bound by a sacred vow to maintain the seal of confession. Without that vow, who would be willing to unburden themselves of their sins? Seriously, that's what he said. So, I kind of agree with him on this. He said, sadly, breaking the seal of confession won't prevent abuse, and it won't help our ongoing efforts to improve. This is the part I get. I don't believe our ongoing efforts to improve the safety of children in Catholic institutions. You know how you keep your kids safe from Catholic institutions?
Don't
take them to Catholic institutions. It's that simple.
And if you're letting people get away with crimes with confession with no consequences, how the hell are you helping anyone?
Yeah.
They're not going to stop what they're doing.
No, they aren't, and it's.
I forgive you. Okay, I'll go do it again, and I get forgiven again. I mean.
Yeah. Doctors are required to, if they suspect abuse, notify police.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem here. I don't see I don't mind that priests would be required to do this. A lawyer can't talk about past abuse, but if a defense lawyer or somebody's lawyer who's an abuser, if they think it's ongoing, I do think they have to. I'm not sure on this. Some lawyer might be able to comment on this, but if it's ongoing, I think that yes, they do have to. Certainly for any future crime, they do have to. That is not covered under attorney-client privilege. No, knowledge of future crime has to be reported. And I'm not really crying the blues too hard for these people. Of course, I already think that confession is ridiculous. It's basically getting off scot-free, and like, oh, I'm not guilty anymore. I've been forgiven by a fictitious thing, deity, overarching sky daddy, and that's not justice. That's not justice. Sorry, you don't get.
Yeah, no kidding. But of course, if priests are required to report that sort of activity, people would just stop confessing that stuff. Yeah, so,
that's what he was saying. That's what they're saying later on. But if you don't have to it doesn't have to be part of confession. If you come across it, you report it. Yeah, it's no different than what they did with hiding.
How is it different confessing versus not confessing? There's still actual no consequences. There's no reparations to the victim.
Confession is sacred.
You just give what? They won't get their get out of jail free card now, which they weren't getting anyway.
Yeah, I'm not trying too hard for them. I do think that people will step. Oops, that's the wrong thing. That is good news, actually, that this law is enacted and it takes place. It begins to take effect next March, end of next March. I don't know why that long.
Yeah.
It's not. There's nothing to set up or anything. I mean, you just have to report it to the police. But the thing is, Catholic bishops have had a history of interfering with the law. I mean, just watch Spotlight, and that was exactly what happened. That was Archbishop Dolan, I think his name was. He kept things quiet for decades. And
how did that help?
It didn't. It made things much worse.
Who did that help? Who did that help? The criminal.
Helped the church.
Thanks.
Helped the church. And then they would move them around. They even had a name for that. It was called the system, and it moved.
Sick.
They moved predatory priests around, so basically,
keep doing it.
Priests had fresh hunting grounds, and the parishioners were completely unsuspecting, and they would hush the parents of the victims. Yeah, the Catholic Church had a lot of power, especially in places like Boston or New York. Yeah. But yet blasphemy is a greater sin for some reason. But anyway, a South Australian Catholic Church, or the South Australian Catholic Church, says that they will not adhere to a change in the law, so that they won't.
We'll just keep letting people get away with crimes. Thanks.
Yeah. So they figure that they can keep hearing confessions and not have any legal repercussions. Well, think again, buddy. Politicians here. Bishop Greg O'Kelly told ABC Radio in Adelaide on Friday, "Politicians can change the law, but we can't change the nature of the confessional, which is a sacred encounter between a penitent and someone seeking forgiveness and a priest representing Christ. It doesn't affect us."
We're above the law. Great.
Well, they have their own law. It's canon law, and they figure
how's that different from Sharia then? Bunch of
Well, Sharia would apply to everybody. Canon law applies to priests, and they think it actually supersedes any state law.
Yeah.
Right. They really should be forced to get rid of canon law. This whole thing that canon law is God's law, and so is not subject to man's law. Well, teach them that that's not true. And start putting some of these bishops in jail. Well, we'll see what happens. We have no idea what happened with Cardinal Pell and his upcoming trial, whether the gag order ever was in place. I assume that since we haven't heard either way, that there is a gag order now, and I so disagree with that. It's in the public interest to have a public trial here.
Yeah.
In Australia, and I hope that, I don't know, maybe somebody can correct me in Australia. Anyway, the Pope equates abortion with Nazi crimes. Okay, here we go.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
This guy's just...
If you thought this guy was a different Pope, think again.
Yeah, this is insane.
This is in Vatican City. Pope Francis denounced abortion on Saturday as the white glove equivalent of the Nazi-era eugenics program. Are you kidding me? How does he figure that?
Well, and I just wonder how Holocaust survivors, the few that we have left, or their families, feel about that kind of comparison.
That's utter nonsense.
Yeah.
It's not about eugenics.
I know. I don't give a. My offense is my own fucking problem, kind of thing. But I'm kind of offended by that one. To compare those kinds of comparisons to the Holocaust, and that includes the discourse around the camps in the U.S., the refugee camps in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right, where they're separating children from adults because.
Well, they were. They're not anymore.
Yeah, but
they still are.
Are they?
Well, I don't know. If you don't separate the children, and you've been brought in by somebody that's sketchy and not your family, maybe for the purpose of sex, trafficking or something like that,
which is rare, extremely rare. But
but I mean, you look at these kinds of camps, refugee camps, where rapes and all that kind of stuff do go on. You don't want children in that kind of a context. If among the people that are crossing the border, probably are some criminals who have been, like the little girl whose iconic image was presented, and she'd essentially, the mother of that little girl had essentially hired somebody to, no, maybe I'm wrong about that, but you know what I'm talking about.
She was keeping her from her father, basically.
Yeah,
They're going to start detaining them. It used to be they would put ankle bracelets on people. They didn't have refugee camps, and then they would send them on their way until the court date. Now they're just going to detain all the families together in institutions. So what Trump is doing is absolutely absurd, and he's changed everything.
Well, I don't know if all of a sudden you have, somebody showing up at the border that's got a van and there's a mixed group of people in it, including some children, and those children don't seem to be showing obvious signs of attachment to the people that they're with, then
that happens rare. That is extremely rare, and to punish all families for
I totally agree. I totally agree. I am playing devil's advocate here for sure, and again, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but my Canadian uncle and his Mexican wife were illegals in California for a while until Reagan and amnesty. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to, dismiss any bad behavior.
And address those letters to Christine Shelska.
Well, hey, you know what? The same policies apply to us. If we wanted to, something would happen and we had, as Canadians tried to get it down there, it would be the same for us. So
Well, I mean, people went through Ellis Island as immigrants. They were documented as they came in.
The laws changed in 1965.
Yeah.
Undocumented immigrants became illegal. So if you don't come to the border with papers already in hand, and how the hell are you going to do that when you're fleeing a frickin' war? Oh, I'll just stop at this computer on the way and get my papers. Really?
Well, yeah, and now we have to take into account the broader global community and the people that are trying to escape, situations where they're being religiously persecuted. Bangladeshi bloggers are being, we want to obviously offer those people an opportunity to come here, but there are going to be people who slip through the cracks. And, I can understand. Oh God, I'm saying super unpopular shit here, but I can understand like the broader picture too, where you don't want to be bringing in people.
If they cannot confirm the identity of people, they don't bring them in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's just people can still.
This is a modern world. There's a way to prove your identity usually, and you can't do it.
Look, if you're from a predominantly Muslim country, and you're trying to escape that country, and it's on your birth certificate that you're a Muslim, and actually you're an atheist, you dare not try to change that, right? So we're probably rejecting a lot of people who really do need, asylum for religious persecution and that kind of thing, right? So, and then you try to take the case of people who are coming here for different reasons from, South America and that kind of thing, right? And like, how do you make a consistent, which I also think obviously are victims of possibly even, American policy, right? But how do you apply that whole thing fairly, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Because
it wasn't broken. They didn't need to fix it. It wasn't broken.
Well, there's that too. But then again too, then we have to, face the fact that Obama deported a bunch of people too. So I don't think
because they committed crimes. You can deport people for committing crimes.
Trying to cross the border illegally is a crime.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's undocumented.
Of course it is. What if
the Democrats treated them differently? The Democrats, if you came undocumented, you can prove your identity. These are your kids. You weren't treated like a criminal. You weren't thrown in frickin' jail. Now they are. Before, they'd stick little ankle bracelets on them, send them on the waist, come to court, prove who you are, get your papers. Now it's, you're all going to frickin' jail.
We do that here too. We do the same thing here too. We do separate families, in extreme circumstances, but, now we're just being hypocritical.
Kids in a month.
Well, no, not at that level, but we do it. It's
not to that extent, maybe 1 or 2 a year.
No, I just saw something recently and I wish I could remember, but again, I didn't think to prepare for this, but it's more than that. And it's unfortunate, but it's the reality here too. And it was the reality before Trump. And
1 or 2 a year. Obama's administration, if they couldn't prove those were the parents and they wanted to make sure they weren't trafficking kids, it was 1 every 6 months. 1 case it wasn't 2,000 kids in a month.
I'm talking more broadly about immigration in general and how many people try to cross the borders, both in Canada and the U.S., that shouldn't. And it's a stringent process of asylum for both countries. And, obviously, I am not anti-immigration by any means whatsoever. Like I said, my family and the fact that there are people in the Middle East
mostly what they bring into this country is women and children and husbands.
I know
they will
that.
more aptly detain guys.
That's because
single.
We have good, regulations. And yeah, that's shitty that some guys will be admitted that probably deserve a chance to come here and create a life for themselves. Who are in fact being
show that they're going to get killed by going back home.
Oh my goodness,
not
Lila.
a terrorist.
There are so many people in this world who could very easily show that they're going to be killed, and we still can't accept them because there's that many, right? We're talking about Middle Eastern countries
we
here.
Don't throw them in jail. We send them home.
Well, that would be the better alternative. Well, it depends. Like, again, if we're talking about people from the Middle East or even from South America, they're certain to go back to death, right?
We don't.
So we have to be kind of consistent in applying, you know.
Okay, you got to get the numbers here, and you got to get the process here. This doesn't jive.
Okay.
Well, this is okay.
But it's
way
not just,
far afield, guys. Way far afield.
People from Mexico and South America and all that are really trying to get asylum.
But this has nothing to do with
There are
the
a lot of people from the Middle East that would love to come to Canada and the U.S. who get declined on a
and
very
if they
regular
land on our
basis,
doorstep,
right? Well, then they
land on our doorstep. What happens?
Then we grant them, refugee status, and then they apply for asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or as Americans, they throw them in jail.
Well, but when you're granted refugee status here, it's not necessarily the case that you're not going to be put into a detention sort of situation, right? Well, paperwork is being processed and you're being checked out and that kind of thing. Right?
You're not labeled a criminal here and stuck in a jail cell. They're doing that.
No, but if your past documentation shows that you're a criminal, you're out of here, right?
Duh.
Yeah. And I'm sure that some people that try to cross the border
coming to Canada.
It's not like the crime that's going on in these countries are, is going to be kind of limited within the borders of the countries that they're coming from. They're going to try and traffic people. They're going to try and smuggle drugs, and
not to the degree that Trump
want to come. Most people that want to come to our countries want to make a better life for themselves. And I completely and utterly support that. But I think we also need to be pretty vigilant in not letting in criminal elements. And again, I'm appealing to the broader context. We are, because they slip through the cracks. But for the most part, we've got a pretty stringent immigration policy.
Yeah, we don't throw people in jail and call them criminals. Where Trump is doing that. The Democrats are processing them by putting ankle bracelets on them, telling them to come to this court date. So they could go stay with their family. If they had family in states, they could go stay with them. Not no more. Not now, not this year.
Yeah. Huh.
And we don't do that crap here in Canada.
I think other countries in the world do that crap. And I think a lot of people are just so anti-Trump that they're willing to bring that up as an issue when it's been an issue for a very long time, right? And that's not to say that it's right or anything like that.
Which countries are these? Which countries are labeling these people as criminals and throwing them in jail? Just for crossing the border.
Look at Europe, right?
They have open borders. They're going to have someone coming from Belgium to France and throw them in jail.
No, but they could have somebody coming from a Middle Eastern country into those countries, and they're going to say, no, we're not going to accept you.
Okay, so which country?
This happens all over the world.
Which country in Europe labels them as a criminal for crossing the border and throws them in jail with their kids?
Well, regardless of whether they're criminals or not, sometimes you're just not allowed to cross the border at all. You get sent back immediately.
Yeah, we deport people. That's good.
Then you're not getting labeled as a criminal and stuck in jail.
Well, yeah, but we want to bring in the people that aren't criminals, and we want to have a process to determine who is and who isn't. And how do you be consistent on that in a global context?
Canada can do that without throwing them in jail. Trump's just throwing them all in jail. This was not the way it was a year ago.
Yeah, fair enough, but we do it here too.
Not to that degree.
Okay, enough. In
fact, I'm going to step away for just a moment.
I'm stopping this now because we are so far afield from where we were.
Let's go talk.
This has nothing to do with the Pope.
Blasphemy laws.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with the Pope. And we're talking about the Pope. Okay. Now let's recap. Because I've forgotten what the hell we were talking about. All right. Pope Francis denounced abortion on Saturday as the white glove equivalent of the Nazi-era eugenics program and urged families to accept the children that God gives them.
They say that in the Catholic school here too, you know.
Oh yeah, but okay. He said this. Last century, the whole world was scandalized by what the Nazis did to purify the race. Today, we do the same thing, but with white gloves.
Wow.
I don't know how he figures that. I mean,
wow. That is the worst false equivalence I've heard in like years.
I know, it's really bad.
So he's basically saying women are Nazis if they have an abortion?
Yeah, I don't know how it purifies the race, because it's not like you know, like...
Aren't you doing the opposite?
Yeah, it's kind of silly. I do think that abortion is used in certain cultures that value boys versus girls, and I think that's wrong. But that's not the problem. The problem isn't with abortion there. The problem is cultural valuations of gender that are different, and that's the problem that has to be fixed, not abortion. Yeah, it's just a completely ridiculous thing for him to say. But now that is followed on the heels by the Irish Prime Minister. What the heck is his name again? I'll find it in here somewhere. Now, Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar, and he has said, you know, well, remember with what was her name? Savita Halapanova, who died because she was denied a termination of a fetus that was completely unviable.
And ectopic. It obviously was going to kill her, and it did.
Yeah. And because the doctors feared repercussions from the law, they didn't provide, or they didn't terminate the fetus. It was too late. And she died. She was 31 years old, and that was in 2012. So there was a big push in Ireland to repeal, I believe it's the 8th Amendment to the Constitution, which outlawed... which is funny, the thing is that it outlawed abortion, except in circumstances where the mother's life was threatened. Well, obviously, that was the case. I mean, the woman died. Her life was definitely threatened, and it still didn't help her. So that created a push to have a referendum. The referendum, which was should we repeal that amendment, and the referendum's passed, and it has been repealed, and now the Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has vowed that even Catholic hospitals will be required to provide abortion services. And this is going to be interesting. Just contrast that with Justin Trudeau. Now, Catholic institutions have vowed not to perform or provide services for assisted aid in dying in their institutions, despite the fact that they are publicly funded. And he has never addressed the problem, which is just a huge elephant in the room.
Yeah,
and he's been very disappointing
on that.
Yeah, it's very disappointing, because guess where most of the palliative care beds are?
He's been distracted by the marijuana stuff.
No, he's been distracting us with the marijuana stuff. So he doesn't have to address it. The courts are going to address it. He's going to be forced to deal with this at some point. I mean, there are a couple of cases. The Julie Lamb case. That's nothing to do with the Catholic institutions, but I think that there's going to be it's going to be two trains on the same track, aimed at each other. One side's going to be the Catholic Church, the other is going to be the Supreme Court, and the Catholic Church is a toy train. they're going to get squashed. So that's the thing I wanted to say about this, because this guy has a spine. This is something that's been very disappointing about Justin Trudeau. He does not have a spine when it comes to this, and this guy is flat out. Yep. If they get any public money, they're required to perform abortion services. Congratulations, I love it. So, yeah, it's. I'd like to see some action on this kind of thing. I don't even know why there's Catholic hospitals anymore.
Because there's Catholic schools, so why not?
Yeah, it's all historical anachronisms. They're totally out of date. I mean, they don't. It's like.
Is it a provincial or federal thing once it passes? Like, how much power do the provinces have over these Catholic hospitals versus
quite a bit, because.
So is it the provinces that are going to have to step up and tell them F off, or will it have to be the feds?
I think it'll be both.
I hope it's both.
Because...
Well, except wherever there's a conservative government, they're not going to frickin' do anything.
Let's see, in Saskatchewan... Well, not necessarily true, because in Saskatchewan, not that long ago, but 7 years ago, I've talked about this before in Humboldt. At the time, Humboldt had the public hospital for the region, but it was also the Catholic hospital. And the doctors refused to do tubal ligation on a woman. She had to go to another health region to have the procedure done. And afterwards, she took the Humboldt hospital to the Human Rights Commission. She won. Good. And the Saskatchewan government said, "Are you going to do this now?" And the hospital said, "Nope." And
but who was in government at the time?
Conservatives. Wow, they're not conservatives.
I don't know. They haven't been like it.
No, they've been in there for quite a while. This was not NDP. This was this is Saskatchewan
years?
Property.
I don't know.
Saskatchewan. Oh, Brad Wall's been in there for a long time. Saskatchewan Party has been in power there for about 12 years, I think. But it was the Saskatchewan Party that said, so you're not going to do it? Okay, you're not a Catholic hospital anymore. And that was it.
I'm really surprised at Wall for that.
Yeah. I actually was too. It was, but they have to comply because they knew the court was going to force their hand anyway, so they had to do it. Yeah,
they probably would have gone to the feds then, right?
Yeah. The feds. See, in Canada, the provinces administer healthcare. But the overarching legislation is federal. And how much money that each province gets from the federal government for healthcare. That's covered by the feds, but how it's used is up to the provinces. That's the same thing for education. Education is provincially administered, but there's an overarching Education Act. It's kind of I don't know, but eventually
it's supposed to be a check and balance of some sort.
I don't. Well, the idea is that the provinces know where they need to allocate resources better than the federal government does. That's kind of the idea.
But they can't overstep, or the feds will say, "Hey, that hospital now."
Oh yeah, if they violate, for instance, the Canada Health Act, they can get in a lot of trouble. Like for instance, marriage is again administered by provinces, but the overarching Marriage Act is federal.
Yeah. And it's been legal since 2005.
Yeah. So once they made same-sex marriage legal, that was it. All the provinces at once, boom, they have to comply. And that's probably what's going to have to happen here. The feds, the health minister, or the attorney general will have to say, you either provide medical assistance in dying as part of your mandate, or we're pulling your funding. That's it. That's what I would like to see. I don't think I thought we'd have seen it a long time ago, but we haven't, and it's one of the major disappointments of Justin Trudeau. And there's a few others, like getting rid of first past the post election in elections, where so that there's proportional representation, which we don't have now. They've shelved it.
Chickened out and ran away.
Out. They did. They could have shown some leadership. They didn't. Yeah, that was one of the major platforms that they campaigned on, and they completely bungled it. So we're stuck with the same old system. Of course, it's not really a surprise, but because how did this government get here? Well, first past the post. That's what got them here. So why would you get rid of the goose that laid you the golden egg? Right? It's not in their best interest to get rid of the system that got them elected.
And the Conservatives, I don't think they would do it either.
Oh no, they're not a chance. Not a chance. They weren't. It wasn't even on their platform.
So we're all screwed either way. So.
And there's another. Let's go to this first.
Can we address the comments that are being?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, let's get back on track with the Pope.
Okay.
We're coming back to the Pope, by the way.
So Lewis, one of our watchers, why don't you guys get off your ass and do something instead of complaining? 3 viewers. Yes, you are changing the world with your uneducated opinions. Look what happens in the States. It's their problem, not Canada's. Right?
I don't get it. What?
I think he's being a little critical of our discussion on immigration.
So we can just shut up and go away and not
listening.
talk
go
about
away.
it.
Yeah, stop listening.
Go do something.
Randy already shut us down.
We're going to stop talking about it right now and go do something right now.
Well, I mean, if
we don't talk about it, how will we know what to do about it?
Well, and in terms of getting off our ass and doing something, I think if you maybe Googled our names, you might find that we actually do get off.
Yeah, I'm very
particularly you, Christine. Yeah,
I'm
and you, Twilight, too.
I'm out giving money. I actually get up off my ass and bitch to the people who might do something about it, and I try to get people elected who will do something about it.
Yeah. Matt has said, didn't the Pope comment on Trump? I don't know, to be honest. And
Pelagia on jailing the kids, Yeah.
Pelagia has joined us and said that, Randy, you're a steely-eyed falsetto man. And that, I know, is because we were at the...
That's awesome. Good job.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
And did a freaking amazing job of, bloody hell.
It was karaoke night.
Bohemian Rhapsody, and a pretty damn good attempt at...
I Will Survive.
Yeah,
Gloria Gaynor.
Yeah.
And I also did Like a Virgin.
Oh,
did you?
You missed that.
Awesome.
I did Like a Virgin. Yeah.
Sad. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been... I should have stopped being politically active. I should have stopped getting off my ass and watched you sing.
Well, I was thinking about it because we've never been in a situation where there's been karaoke, and I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? I bet Randy can freaking well sing. And sure as shit, you can. Wow.
Yeah, my voice gave out, though.
Damn it!
Well, yeah, but, on the other hand, it's freaking, allergy season and stuff like that. So I think that's...
Yeah.
And you'd already, fucking amazed everybody. So...
It was fun. It was a fun night. It was a fun night.
Fun. Yeah.
And I missed it by getting off my ass and being an activist.
There you go.
Yeah.
God damn it! I should have just talked about
shut the fuck up
and stop talking about stuff and stop knocking on doors and stop supporting the people I want to get empowered to do the things I want them to do, and should have just come and watched Randy sing.
Well, I didn't know he was going to sing.
I didn't know it was going to be karaoke.
Yeah.
So
Sam's joined us too. I think Vincent had to leave because he's not feeling very well. So that's our update on the chats.
Okay. Yeah. So, and it's important that people are aware of these things. Most people don't follow the Catholic news agency like I do. I keep in touch with all this stuff and what they're up to, and I'm disseminating information first of all, and that's important right there. Anyway, blasphemy is the gravest sin, Pope Francis says.
But not abortion. That's just Nazism.
Yeah, it's or priestly pedophilia.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've kind of missed this one, but he's off. He said, like, if you're an atheist, God still loves you. Blah blah blah. So.
Yeah, that's just passive aggressive behavior.
Yeah, double speak.
Like it's yeah, whatever. Just water off a duck's back. Blasphemy, the sin against the Holy Spirit, is the only unpardonable sin, so Jesus says, because it starts from a closure of the heart to the mercy of God acting in Jesus. What a weird salad, eh?
Oh God, that's funny.
So blasphemy, saying his God is a douchebag, for instance. That's worse than priestly pedophilia. That's just astounds me. I mean, just astounds me.
But now your heart's like black or something.
Yeah, it's closed to the Holy Spirit. It's closed. I have closed that door. Damn right I have.
Oh my God. Wow.
Paul says blasphemy is the worst sin, Matthew 12:31. And Sam, who's joined us as well, says no pardon, not even for Trump. Sorry, the comments are coming in now, and people are actually watching.
Yeah,
so
I'll have to fix the audio issues so we can get people to phone. But yeah, what a pain in the ass.
We could bring either if they want to join us.
No, we're gonna get this done. I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
It's.
In fact, I'm gonna be back in just a moment.
Gotta get off my ass.
Sure.
And go to work.
So this is the Pope. He's he's at it again, saying stupid things. I mean, it's just, there is no such thing as sin from an atheist point of view. It just doesn't exist. I mean, yeah, there's right and wrong, and varying degrees, and some of these things are very gray, and it's not, being moral is not checking off a list of commandments. It's thinking about the effects your actions have on others, as well as the reasons for why you act in a certain manner. It's consequentialism gets you most of the way, and the deontology, there's a bit of that in there. Getting to the right answer to a problem for the wrong reasons can be pretty bad. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Spain's new atheist prime minister. This is kind of cool.
Yay. The church is so mad.
This is the Catholic Herald, and they are not happy. Okay, Pedro Sanchez has adopted an aggressively secular agenda, not just a secular agenda, but an aggressively secular agenda. And what are the bad things that he's doing? Let's see. Sanchez broke with tradition by declining to have a Bible or a crucifix present when taking his oath before King Philippe, who is a very religious man, by the way. Undeterred, the Bishops' Conference president, Cardinal Ricardo Blasquez, wished him God's help in upholding unity, prosperity, and social cohesion, and reiterated the Church's readiness to collaborate sincerely, whatever that means. I'm thinking he was probably like, yeah, whatever, dudes. He's trying to take away religious symbols in what are secular institutions. The new foreign minister for Spain, Josep Borrell, plans to re-examine Spain's 1979 treaty with the Holy See. In his first interview, he declared that the government must, quote, take the state's secularity seriously, unquote.
Gasp.
Where's the problem?
Oh my God.
Yet there are hints of trouble ahead. Sanchez, a self-declared atheist, oh no, has campaigned against state funding for church activities and school religion, and for the removal of religious symbols from public institutions.
So mean.
That's terrible, isn't it?
Just awful.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to know this guy. I want to have a beer with him. I want to interview him on the podcast. So,
yeah, that's pretty gutsy to stand up.
He's a 46-year-old economics professor, and he was sworn in after an unprecedented censure motion over alleged corruption brought down the center-right Mariano Rajoy, or I guess it would be Rajoy.
The one that liked the church.
Yeah, center-right.
Whoops, the one that liked the church got taken down.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what he does, and you know, maybe you know, most people in Spain don't go to church, but yeah, we'll see what he does. That'll be really interesting. Good for him.
Well, for the church's sake, it's too bad that the corrupt one got taken down. That would have left him alone.
Yeah. It's good to see that secularity is, is that even a word? Secularity?
Secularism.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Chris said.
Yeah. Okay, secularism. Secularity.
Yeah.
Secularism.
You don't need to be an atheist to be a secularist. You can be
That's true. That's true.
Religious. Well, absolutely, and religious people who respect that fact realize that what's the word I want to use? Supports them too, their religion too, right? Mm-hmm. So who do you want? Do you want the happy hippie Jesus, or do you want the God hates fags Jesus kind of thing, right? Like, which of your gods are, you know, even within the Christian world, right? We don't want a theocracy. Nobody wants a theocracy here, unless you're batshit fucking crazy.
Oh, well, you're
and most people here are pretty moderate.
What's
at least,
that vice president in the U.S.?
God.
No, it's not God.
Yeah, but imagine if you tried to, you know, campaign here in Canada, how quickly that would have just gone away.
It's too bad that didn't happen in the States.
Yeah, don't say that.
What the hell?
You know, like in the States, you're almost expected to, you know, identify as a Christian or whatever kind of thing. Whereas here, if you do that shit, you're going to be like, okay, dude, you're not going to represent all of us, and so you quickly get shut down.
We'll see what happens with Jason Kenney.
I guess so, but I'm even thinking, like, you know, there's that guy who ran for mayor. What's his name? Harry Leather, as I like to call him.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy.
He didn't, you know, right. Spewing his religious shit, and it's just like, no.
Yeah, but wasn't that Calgary?
Jesus. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You do that in Red Deer, you'll get elected.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
But I think in general, as Canadians, like if you look across the country, we don't like to see people spewing their religious shit.
Yeah, I think that's going to change. I think I'm afraid it's going to change because, you know, Doug Ford. Brad Wall. That's a prime example right there. The guy that uses public money for his religious Christmas messages.
Yeah, but that doesn't go without criticism.
He doesn't
from all
care.
Around.
And he gets elected.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah. But still,
you got to get out of your bubble. You have a beautiful bubble in Calgary.
I do.
It's privilege.
Even my conservative friends are, you know, like, yeah, Bernie Sanders should have been, you know,
okay.
Canadian conservatives and not religious conservatives, right?
No, there's a difference between.
Shut up. I'm going to shut up.
Anyway.
No more politics.
Although Vincent says that Jason Kenney is a boob. Yeah, so I'll pass it on.
Yeah, he's a douchebag.
There's lots of Jason Kenney stickers on cars around here, I'll tell you.
Wow.
Yeah, but I live very. I don't know if I'm going to be in his riding or not. I don't know. I don't know where he's running. He was when he was a federal MP. He ran in the neighboring to the south of me, the riding there, and Harper was my riding. Ugh. And you know what? I was shocked when, in the last provincial election, my riding went to the NDP. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow.
So was I.
That was.
Oh my God! I was like,
I'm
what
in a very conservative neighborhood. Yeah. Well, the riding here had Hinman That was my
that was horrible,
MLA.
yeah.
He was a terrible MLA.
But the people here, the conservatives here, were just like, they were just, you know, they weren't Hindmans, and but they still did not get elected last time. I am shocked by this. Like, you have no idea in Red Deer.
Well, and certainly nobody was expecting the NDP landslide.
Yeah.
And
no, that was weird.
Yeah, that was like...
It was awesome, but it was weird.
Yeah, there have been a couple of elections, both provincially and federally, like that, where you just didn't see it coming. It was like, whoa.
But of course, Sylvan Lake, they got the Wildgrow guy, Wildrose guy,
the sexual assault guy.
And he's now getting charged with sexually blah blah with a minor. So they're having a by-election now because that was such a wonderful person to elect.
Yeah, you see, I don't understand the conservative mind. There's no crime that can be committed where your guy can't be okay. You know, it's this.
Well, it's a holdout from old values. Like, you know, like I think about my grandparents' generation and how typically you'd be, I don't know, 17, 18 years old, and you'd be married to somebody that was in their 30s who had, you know, established themselves and blah, blah, in a rural community, a farming community, and that kind of thing, right? So obviously there was probably some kind of interest happening before they hit 17 or 16, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So it's creepy and disturbing, but at one time that was the norm for a lot of, you know, like especially rural communities. It's how my grandparents essentially got together, you know, in I guess a German community. And
grade school.
Yeah. No, I don't know about grade school, but certainly there were, you know, community dances pertaining to whatever groups they were involved in a smaller community. So I guess pretty much, yeah. Religious revivals, I don't know.
Yeah, we've had those here. Yeah, I suppose.
Well, I think we still have them. My grandparents, I think, met in Manitoba or Saskatchewan, but yeah, I mean, that was in the day, that was normal for an older man in his 30s that had been established, you know, that was established financially and blah blah blah, could offer the younger bride security, right? Which, you know, to our current sensibilities sounds kind of creepy and disturbing, but you know,
well, if
in that generation,
bear children.
Well, yeah, in that generation, it's not uncommon for you know, there to be a 10, 15-year gap in age and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, gotta have the kids fed.
And I'm not defending it, obviously, but you know,
that's the way things were.
Yeah. So they're just behind the ethical 8-ball, I suppose, in terms of our, you know, current understanding of what constitutes, you know, taking advantage of children and this kind of thing. Hey.
Yeah.
And those were just norms back in the day, and it would have seemed, as the word implies, normal to those communities, you know. So yeah. Mm-hmm. But again, you know, that might be something that might go okay in a rural community where that tradition has kind of been established, but not so much in, you know, the more secular region, shall we say. Right?
Progressive.
What's up?
Progressive too. Progressive, secular.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're just 2 generations behind our cultural norms. And I shouldn't say just. They are 2 generations at least behind our cultural norms, and it's you know, we've evolved and moved on and want to protect women's rights in a different way, right? You know, well, culturally
adapted.
You know, yeah. Yeah, I think most of us would raise an eyebrow if some 35-year-old guy was, you know, marrying a 17-year-old girl, whereas, you know, like I said, 2 generations ago in rural areas, that was
normal.
What, 30 something guy marrying a 17-year-old?
Yeah, that'd be normal.
In Red Deer?
Especially
not right now. Back maybe.
Yeah.
But not.
Well, like
I
said, there's still some communities that would be fine, right?
Yeah.
Whereas,
like bountiful British Columbia.
Well, no, that wouldn't be 17, Randy. That would be like 13 or 14. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'm just thinking of of my daughter, and like, holy shit, there's just no bloody way in hell she would have gotten married at 17, right? And of her own accord, I didn't have to convince her otherwise, right?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. No, she never came to me and said such a thing, right?
Goodness.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to marry this guy who's 50 and blah, blah, blah. She never did that. Never. Rather the opposite, right? Yeah. Well, you know, like this the millennial generation is opting out of marriage, right? Or, you know, even our generation and the generation that, you know, is succeeding us, people are, you know, for the most part, well, I shouldn't say for the most part, but certainly I think there's been a decline in marriage, and people just cohabit as what do you call it? Just
common law.
Common law. Yeah, thank you. And they're perfectly happy to do that and have families or not, you know.
Yeah.
That's totally normalized now. Whereas, you know, the guy in the 30s marrying the 17-year-old is not normalized anymore whatsoever, right? Yeah.
Still happens probably, but
sure it does. Yeah.
But in the rural community, well,
and certainly in other communities, you know, underage child marriages do happen.
Yeah.
Here in Canada. So,
okay. I think we'll leave it there, and we'll sign off.
Underage marriage.
Donna Lynn joined us. Donna Lynn, I'm so happy to see you, and we're just signing off now. Yeah, Donna Lynn is a very influential part of my childhood. Just to fill you guys in, my best friend when I was growing up lived next door to me, and Donna Lynn married, oh goodness, how can I get this straight now? Donna Lynn was my best friend's aunt, and she married, Donna Lynn was my best friend's aunt, and her brother ended up marrying my best friend.
Oh.
You see what I mean? So, like, there's all kinds of obvious, you know, jokes that were going on about, what do you call it? Mixed, you know, what do you call it? When you intermarry, but clearly that wasn't the case. It was just
you weren't all related.
Right? Yeah. But I've always felt that Donna Lynn and I guess I would say that side of the family is, I've identified with them very much as family, and I'm so excited that she took a moment to join us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Donna Lynn.
Well, I think we should sign off now. I'm turning into a pumpkin.
Yeah. I'm starting to yawn.
And American listeners, send me shoes.
Oh, right. What the
Send
hell?
me shoes.
Like,
my God, I am shoeless.
I
am actually shoeless right now. I can't afford the tariffs.
Yeah. Oh, please send us shoes.
Shoes. Yeah. Oh God, no.
You know,
the humanity. Yeah.
There was that Canadian girl. Actually, no. A Canadian woman's daughter visiting from France, or niece or something. She was jogging around the border. She had kind of been pushed around by the waves a little bit. She got arrested.
2 weeks.
Detained for 2 weeks.
It's crazy.
So now the shoe gathering business is very serious now. Like.
Yeah, if you send me shoes, send Skechers. I like Skechers.
We can't go to the border to get the shoes anymore without papers.
Skechers are freaking awesome.
I know. I love them.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time I'm not at threat of the dog chewing my shoes, I will buy myself another pair. Unless an American is willing to send some to me. Yeah. Size 8, 8.5. Yeah.
I'm 7.5.
Yeah. So I'm totally shoeless. I've only got like 10 pairs.
The cats are chewing on them.
Yeah, the laces are gone because of the cats. Okay, I think we're going to sign off now. So thank you for listening, most of you. And
trying to phone.
And I'll try and fix that. I don't know why it did that. But anyway, good night. And I guess we'll be back in a couple of weeks. And lots of stories.
Good night,
bye-bye. Come on. Change. No, it's not going to do it. I'm going to have to do it manually.
Having been neglected.